Hey, welcome back. I was thinking about my parents the other day, about the stories they'd tell of how they met. It was all very practical, families involved, a careful consideration of futures and stability. And I remember, as a kid growing up in Dhaka, hearing that and thinking it was so unromantic. Where was the grand passion, the dramatic confession? It took me years and a lot of reading to understand the profound economics at play in those stories. It's a calculus of survival, of love, and of strategy that's far more universal than we admit. And perhaps no one understood that calculus better or wrote about it with more sharp, subversive wit than a certain early 19th century English novelist. I'm Ibnul J. Farabi, and this is The Great Conversation. Today, in Episode 4, Jane Austen's Quiet Revolution, the subversive economics of marriage. When we hear Jane Austen, a very specific, often misunderstood image floats up. Lace, drawing rooms, genteel ladies sighing over eligible gentlemen. It's easy to dismiss it as romance, as trivial, but that's like calling a scalpel a fancy letter opener. You're missing the point of the tool entirely. Austen was writing in a world where, for a woman of a certain class, there were precisely zero formal career paths. No becoming an engineer, an entrepreneur, a lawyer. Your life's trajectory, your security, your social standing, even your basic comfort, was almost entirely determined by one transaction: marriage. It was your career. And Austen, with the precision of a social economist, dissected this market with relentless clarity. So let's talk about that market. Take the infamous opening line of Pride and Prejudice. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. We often read that as a joke about desperate mothers. But flip it. What it really announces is that a single woman, not in possession of a good fortune, is in desperate want of a husband. That's the engine of the plot. The Bennet sisters have a cruel problem. Their father's estate is entailed, meaning it can only pass to a male heir, a distant cousin. Upon Mr. Bennet's death, they lose their home, their income, everything. Their mother's frantic matchmaking isn't silly. It's a survival strategy in a system rigged against them. Austen isn't just describing courtship. She's auditing a flawed financial system. And she populates this system with characters who understand the rules perfectly and who show us the spectrum of moral choices within it. On one end, you have Charlotte Lucas, Elizabeth's friend in Pride and Prejudice. She's 27, plain, with little money, facing the terrifying prospect of becoming a burden on her family. So when the ridiculous Mr. Collins proposes, she says yes. Elizabeth is horrified, seeing it as a betrayal of love. But Charlotte's explanation is one of the most brutally pragmatic and sympathetic moments in literature. She tells Elizabeth, "I am not romantic, you know. I never was. I ask only a comfortable home." Austen doesn't condemn Charlotte. She forces us to see the narrow corridor of options she walks. Charlotte has chosen a strategic alliance for shelter and status. It's a business decision, and in her world, a rational one. Then there's the antagonist, someone who plays the game ruthlessly and without heart, Caroline Bingley. She's wealthy, but her money is new, from trade. She's chasing Mr. Darcy not just for his greater wealth, but for his ancient, landed status. It's a merger for social capital. And of course, there's the ultimate cautionary tale, Lydia Bennet, who runs off with the charming but penniless Wickham. Her love match, devoid of any economic forethought, nearly ruins the entire family. It's only salvaged by another, darker economic transaction. Darcy literally pays Wickham to marry Lydia. Even the scandal is resolved with money. Austen is showing us that in this world, all marriages are economic. The only question is whether you navigate that economy with integrity, with cynicism, or with sheer foolishness. This is where Austen's quiet revolution happens. Because her heroines, the ones we're meant to admire, don't reject the system. They can't. Instead, they insist on negotiating better terms. They demand that emotional and intellectual capital be part of the ledger. Elizabeth Bennet turns down not one, but two financially secure proposals. First from Collins, then from Darcy himself when he first proposes in that famously arrogant way. She rejects them because the price is her self-respect. She is, in effect, holding out for a better deal, one that includes mutual respect, understanding, and genuine affection. She's leveraging her own worth, her mind and spirit, as assets. When she finally accepts Darcy, it's only after he demonstrates moral growth, after he uses his economic power for her family, not over it. The marriage works because it's a partnership that balances the books of both finance and feeling. Austen does this again and again. In Sense and Sensibility, Eleanor Dashwood's sense is largely financial prudence, a clear-eyed understanding of their precarious money situation. Her love, Edward Ferrars, is disinherited, making him a terrible match on paper. But she chooses him anyway, valuing his character over his cash, a radical reevaluation of what constitutes value. And in Persuasion, her last novel, Austen gives us an Elliot, a woman who rejected a man she loved years earlier due to poor financial prospects, and has lived with the quiet regret ever since. When they reunite, and he has made his fortune, the novel is about them reclaiming that lost love on new, equal footing. It's a second chance built on the hard-won understanding that while money matters, it cannot be the only currency. Reading Austen from my perspective, as an immigrant, an engineer who builds systems, an entrepreneur who assesses risk, I don't see old-fashioned romance. I see a brilliant systems analyst. She observed the human operating system of her time, identified its core variables, money, status, gender, love, and wrote stories that stress-tested it. She asked, within these brutally constrained rules, how does a person live with dignity? How do you find agency when the world has given you so few levers to pull? Her answer was to master the rules, then bend them toward a more humane outcome. That's what resonates with me, thinking of my own family's stories. What looked to my younger self like a simple, practical arrangement was, in fact, a complex evaluation of character, of resilience, of shared values. A calculation where emotional intelligence was the most critical asset. Austen knew that. She validated that. She argued that bringing clear-eyed judgment, moral integrity, and a demand for respect into the most important transaction of your life wasn't unromantic. It was the only way to build something that lasted. So the next time someone dismisses Jane Austen as just wedding plots and fancy dresses, you'll know the truth. She was mapping the hidden architecture of society, the silent flow of power and capital that shaped destinies. She was conducting a quiet revolution, one shrewd, heartfelt negotiation at a time, teaching her characters, and us, that even within a rigid system, you have a choice. You can play the game, but you get to decide what winning truly means. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Great Conversation. If this exploration of the hidden systems in our stories resonated with you, please share it with someone who'd appreciate it. You can find more episodes and transcripts at our production home, Light Not Studios. https://www.lightnotstudios.com. I'm Ibnul J. Farabi. Until next time, keep listening and keep thinking.